In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. In today's second reading, St. Paul says to the Colossians, the mystery of the gospel is this: Christ in you, the hope of glory. This is the mystery of the gospel. Christ in you. About 200 years ago, the German philosopher Ludwig Feuerbach wrote, "You are what you eat." Feuerbach was an atheist materialist. All he meant was the rather gloomy view that we are literally no more than the molecules we digest. Ironically, though, for Christians, what Feuerbach said is true in a very particular way. For us, there is a profound connection between who we are and what we eat. As we just heard, the night before he died, this coming Thursday night, Jesus celebrated Passover. But in place of the lamb, he took bread and wine and called it himself, his body and his blood. Later he said something stranger and harder to grasp, which at the time, John's Gospel says, shocked his followers so much that most of them walked out. "If you eat my flesh and drink my blood, you will live in me, and I will live in you." So the kind of eating that we do in this service really does give us a new identity. When the priest says to you at the altar rail, "the body of Christ," that doesn't just mean the bread in your hand, it means you. You are what you eat. You are the body of Christ. St. Augustine put it like this: what Jesus did for us on the cross, he now wills to do in us. As we receive his body, we become what we receive, and the pattern of his death and resurrection becomes the pattern of ours. What that means is that when we hear the story of Jesus' passion, as we've just done, when we reenact it, as we will do all through this week ahead of us, we are not just remembering something that happened long ago to somebody else. This is our story as well. Most easily, of course, we can recognize ourselves in the people around Jesus. We know how often we've been Peter, when Peter denied Christ. We know all the times we've lied to save our skin, or have been too scared to stick up for somebody when we know we should have. We know that we've been Pilate, all the times we've washed our hands of our responsibility, or when we've played the innocent, letting somebody else take the blame. We've been Judas when we've let our friends down, or when we've betrayed their confidences, or sold our own principles down the river. We've been part of the baying crowd, parroting the tribal hatreds and prejudices of our own little group. We've been one of the soldiers when we've mocked or belittled people, or when we've shut out the sufferings of others, or pushed past the beggar on the street, and we tell ourselves, "Oh, that's just the way things are, we have to get on with the job." We've been all of those, and we've probably heard 100 sermons reminding us of it, and we certainly need to be sorry for it. However, That is not the whole truth about us. Those are not our only roles in the Passion story, nor even the main one. Because in an even deeper sense, when we are most true to ourselves, we are Jesus too. We are not just the perpetrators in this story, we are also the victim. Because we also know what it's like to be betrayed by someone we've loved. We may not have been betrayed unto death, but it may well have felt like that. And we know what a struggle it is to pray, Father, forgive, when we've been hurt that badly. We know what it's like to be hated, to be a victim of prejudice, or falsely accused, or unjustly judged. We know what it's like to be talked about, or pointed at, or pitied. We know how it feels to be mocked, or humiliated, or passed over for someone else. We know what it's like when people are brutal or stupid, or when they wash their hands of us and say they'd like to help, but, well, some things are too much to ask. We know what it is to be torn apart from those we love, or to have to watch them suffer, or to have to watch them die. We do know all about pain, both the physical kind and the mental. We know what it is to be exhausted and to want to shout out, God, where are you? Why have you abandoned me? And in the end, we'll know what it is to die and what it is to fear to die. We do all know all that. We've got our nails and our cross and our crown of thorns as well. On Sunday mornings, I've often stood at the altar and felt that I'm in a kind of hospital. You can't be a priest without being aware how much hurt there is and how much heroism as well in so many ordinary people who have to face extraordinary sufferings, sometimes for years. There are so many different kinds of wounds in a congregation, some known, some secret, some dormant, some horribly raw. But the point is, those wounds are not unfortunate accidents. It's simply not true that if only we had more faith, or if only we were better Christians, then things would be different and our lives would be trouble-free. The truth is, in fact, just the opposite. The closer we are to Christ, the more we must expect wounds and not be surprised by them. We are Christ's body. We are taken and blessed, yes, but we are also broken and given away. By faith, baptism, and the Eucharist, we are joined to the sacrifice of Christ. And we say we accept this, perhaps too glibly, at the end of the Eucharist. We offer ourselves, our souls and bodies, we say, to be a living sacrifice. God help us if he takes us at our word, as he well might. The one good thing we can say about suffering is that for a Christian at least, it is never meaningless, and it is never the last word. Because the pattern gets played out to the end. As Paul promises, if we suffer with him, we shall be glorified with him. If we die in him, we shall rise to reign with him. And bluntly, that's the only hope and meaning we are ever going to find in the whole show. So as we go through this Holy Week, remember Paul's words. This is the mystery of the gospel. Christ